Testing. All right. Well, I have definitely been stuck on Pathmapper for quite some time. And I did that, and I've had lower numbers of people looking at my website, obviously, in my videos. But let's get into it, and let's finish up this on the simplest level I can think of, and we will move on past sets and finally get back into things like we'll go into curves and start with fields and make some interesting new scripts. Anyway, let's jump in here with nothing. Let's set up a range and get some points. There they are, as most of you know how to make, x, y. You can simplify everything. You don't need to simplify this because it would come out unsimplified the same way, same data structure. But I want you to get in the habit of simplifying things so you know what you need to set to null and work with when you use the Pathmapper. So if I took these points here, and you can see them there, and work within lists, this is a simple list. You can add your indices, so even though the I isn't in there, you can add it in, and then you can start manipulating that. I just put it in there in case I wanted to do something later, and I'm going to mask it. I'm going to try and gather some data out of it. Well, I've just set the indices, set the path at 0, 0, and chose 4. So if I went in here and chose something like 5, it would go 6, it would jump ahead, and you would have this point jump ahead a bit. Now you could always go in and get a list, and you go 1, 3, and then it'll continue 5, 6 until it runs out. So you can see you grab all those points, and you could stagger 0 to 3, but let's actually stagger it 0 to 2, because then if I had 2 sets of data coming out of here, I could grab these points, and if I was to grab here and cut and paste and take this mask, I would have this point, and these 2 points are different, but I can start playing off of those geometries coming out of the same set of points. So keep it simple to start. I don't think much would change actually if I went in here and played with putting my indices into my B and path and put B over here. I'm pretty sure I'd end up with basically the same stuff, if anything. No, not everything would default out. I'd have to bring in, obviously nothing would fit into that path because there's nothing there. So I would just have all of it or nothing. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to leave that at just pulling the indices out, not doing anything in the Pathmapper, and just very simply controlling my lists here, choosing that set, and deciding what to do after. Now, go into here again and graph those points. If you graph those points, you're going to have a different structure. Simplify it, and you'll see you're dealing with this path, 0 to 1 with 11 items on each, as that climbs all the way through to 10. And you can put in your null. You don't have to put it through data, but I did. And then now I can switch my indices with my A value, and we'll go in here and see what happens. What did I do here? Let's grab these points, and I flatten those, and I've grabbed these points, and so they're a little different in the set. They're choosing, this one's choosing, if you go in here, it's chosen to count 0, and it selects 0, then not 1, 2, 3, and then 4, then not 5, 6, 7, and then 8. And then I've chosen the indices along those as that creeps along. You don't really, as many points that are here, if we take a look, we've got quite a few to choose from. Those are the ones that are being selected in this mask. And then this one is choosing very similar to that. Now you could bring in something like 0 on the mask, and you'll see you're just getting 1 row because that's all I'm choosing is 0 out of, I only want the 0 row. And this one, I want all the rows and I want all the points. So we choose that one, you see, you get that. So that's just playing a little deeper into it. Now, what I would do is just bring those all together and have a pretty nice pattern. And you can change that up pretty fast by swapping out different bits of data here and getting some very cool patterns by playing geometrically, two-dimensionally with this stuff. So please feel free to play with that. I actually like this pattern right here. I think that's pretty sweet, what I've ended up bringing together in line work from those points. And I'm controlling it by this scripting. Anyway, leave that. Come up here, and what I've done is just put it through a series to raise it. So I can deal in a cube structure and all these points. And you can see how it changes. I have path A and B, and I have 10 items on each. So this way, and 10 items up. I can do some swapping and some pretty cool stuff here, but I didn't even choose to do that. If I grab my masks, here's my data coming in here. Here's my data coming in here. And I can draw lines between them and get a pretty cool pattern. I can actually pipe that and get a pretty cool array of points. Now what happens, and you can see what I'm playing with here, I'm taking indices only like top and bottom. So it's it's starting a little farther up. It's not coming across and going like right at the baseline, and it's not going all the way to the top 10. It's kind of dancing in between, which is kind of nice. What if I grab that one and that one? I don't think, actually that's exactly what I had. Let's grab this one to this one. Now you start to pull out some awkward geometries and things start to appear in places that maybe you don't. This one's playing straight up a point, just adding to itself. Let's start simply. Let's take a look at this mask here and see that we're only dealing with a line, so we're not getting much geometry off of that. This one we're getting a full, I'm choosing 0, and then I'm choosing a range in the second set, and then all numbers you can get with question mark or asterisk. There's a little distinction between question mark and asterisk. I haven't quite figured that one out. This is gridding it out, so I can get some pretty good points here. Some cool structure like that, playing off of points in series. And then I can grab that one, and then I want to change this one up so I get a different bit of data. And you can see how you start to pull things together in a three-dimensional way by controlling your kind of start, step, and then the count of how far you have to go. So I'm just going to leave that at what I had initially. I think it was this one. Nope, it was not that one. Probably just both of them. Nope, I'm not sure what I had to start. I did have some pretty cool geometries to start. I probably chose, to keep it simple, I probably chose this one. And that hard one, I'm trying to remember what I had. Oh well, I'll have to play around with it to get back to what data I had, weaving these points kind of together from different points in the structure. And you could always take that up the pipe and have a little thicker thing. But kind of nice patterns and geometries that you maybe wouldn't have built just from line, but dealing within that cube. Then what I did was I went ahead and I scaled it in a range. So I took that whole set and I scaled it up from the arithmetic mean, the average in the middle. So I thought that would be a kind of nice little twist from that geometry originally. I just did a little scale exercise on it, changes the point systems in it, just expands it out. You get 0 close to 1 and then 8 very far from 9. And then I chose to play around a little bit more with this structure. You'll see it's got 2 paths and then it's got 10 items on each. So I can basically go in, and I thought I'd do each one separately because I had really nice, this pattern was very nice at grabbing these lines. This one was very nice. If I grabbed, let me drop that mask in there. This one will grab this line, a single line. Let me grab that. This one will grab multiple lines as it extends up, and this one will grab, I should probably show you the data, and this will grab it in the gridded system. And so in doing that, I'm able to use that one in that direction, and I've called out any bad lines. This one in that direction, and this one, I should have a vertical. What did I do wrong? Mask. Oh, I took this one out. That one should be going there. So now you've got the verticals, this one, and you've actually built this whole geometry by understanding the list that you're bringing into it and programming them in. So you can quickly edit this back down to just these two, and you could edit this one down to the single XYZ. That's kind of a nice little exercise, and that's probably the simplest Pathmapper script I can write, walking you through reading your data, your param viewer, and then finding out what you can play with in the Pathmapper, and then how you can play with it through the split tree. Kind of fun. And afterwards, you can always continue with list items and calling index and just keep going and keep going. And hopefully you can move away from lines and you get things woven together and stitched and use NURB curves and interpolated curves that are a little more exciting than these straight lines or polylines. Anyhow, thanks for watching. That's my last of my boring Pathmapper tutorials, but it lines up with the 105. And like I said, now I'm going to go back into scripts. I've had enough of Pathmapper. I think I've wrapped my head around it. It was more for me than anyone else. It's something that you will get stuck on if you do want to go deeper into it, but gaining control and precision is really what that was all about. And I'll just grab this whole thing to look at. There it is. Really nice little structure of information and numbers and geometries that are built within that matrix, cube matrix of what you can grab and make geometry. Thanks for watching. 10 minutes.